gorgeous, welcome back to the makeup aisle. Today's video is going to be my ride or die makeup products. So my first two products are foundation primers. I tend to have very oily skin in the summer, bordering on sweaty, and then dry skin in the winter. So I do tend to use different foundations during different climates only because of my skin. For the winter, I love my TooFaced Hangover RX foundation primer. Right now in Connecticut, it is super cold, so my skin is starting to get little dry patches. This foundation primer is just so amazing to completely combat all of the dry patches. This primer adds another level of moisturization, which I absolutely love. Doesn't make your skin slick, doesn't make your skin oily. It absorbs really beautifully into the skin, and makeup adheres to the face that much better, because I think sometimes when you're very dry and you're putting on foundation, you're putting on other things, they tend to stick to these dry patches. What I love about this foundation is that it goes on the skin so beautifully that the makeup just sits on there that much better. Even on those dry patches, you can't tell, it doesn't accentuate them. So for the summer and also for my T-zone, basically almost like just my forehead, during the winter months, and like I said, during all of summer, my ride or die foundation primer is the Makeup Forever Step 1, and this is the Mattifying. This is a small one, but as you can tell, it is very used and very loved. This foundation primer goes on the skin like nothing else. As soon as you start putting it on the skin, it just mattifies down without hesitation perfectly. Now, it doesn't dry the skin out. If you like a matte look, it's perfection. So the next two products are my corrector and my concealer. Corrector was actually quite an easy choice for me. It is the LA Girl Pro Conceal, and this is in the orange corrector. I have very dark under eye circles, so for me, and because I'm a little more tan in the skin, I need a corrector that's very orange, sometimes even bordering like on a brick red color, because it just offsets that dark, you know, like coloring under my eyes perfectly. This is amazing. Like, I have two backups of this product, and the thing I love about this is that there's like a brush tip. You just kind of squeeze it and then put it right where you need it. It's not all over the place, very targeted, and that's something that I absolutely love. As far as the use and how it goes into the skin, it goes on very buttery. It's almost it's thick, but not in a bad way. My ride or die concealer is actually a lot of people's ride or die concealer. It's the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and it's called a contour concealer. I have never in my life tried a concealer so perfect. And really, I say that, so perfect, and mean it. This covers everything. It just goes on the skin, very thick, very creamy, in the most beautiful way. Like, when you say thick, you're like, okay, what does that mean? Am I gonna have like globs of stuff under my eyes? The answer is no. If you use it already, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go get one. So for foundation, it kind of was a hard choice, and it kind of wasn't. I tend to use different foundations for different climates. Again, something a little more mattifying for the summer, something a little more hydrating for the winter. I always set my foundation with powder. I just like a matte finish. That's just my preference. But this foundation works 12 months out of the year. It's the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup. It goes on the skin beautifully. It sits on the skin beautifully. It wears like a dream. Even several hours later, I look in the mirror and I still have foundation on my skin. It doesn't get streaky, it doesn't get splotchy. It's just absolutely beautiful. But as far as wear and how it looks on the skin, absolutely flawless. My bronzer of choice is the NYX Matte Bronzer, and I have this in medium. This matte bronzer is just amazing. I mean, that shade, the way that looks, I just look at it in the pan and I just am like an absolute love over it. And I mean, there's not much to say. It's a matte bronzer. It works beautifully for me both in the summer and the winter, even though I'm a little lighter in the winter. I just use a lighter hand with it. But I love the way it warms up the skin. I have found a contour color that for me works perfectly, and it's the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Contour Palette. So I think everybody has seen these. It's like between $4 to $6, something like that. So I do not tend to use a very light highlighting shade because, again, that's very white for my skin. But the contour shade that you see works for me beautifully. I don't tend to contour a lot, but when I do, I obviously want it to look good. I don't want it to look like I have a dirt stripe on the side of my face. So for blush, I have, that was difficult because I love blush. I have a ton of blushes. So this was a little hard, but when it came down to it, I wanted to choose a blush for my ride or die that I could wear daily, but also could transition really nicely into evening. For me, my ride or die blush is the In-Stain blush by The Balm, and this shade is Houndstooth. I have a couple of these, but this is my favorite shade. This is kind of a little purpley mauve, just very, very beautiful. So for highlighter, that was another kind of difficult process because I have a lot of highlighters. This is perfection. It's from Love Luxe Beauty. It's called What Mermaids Are Made Of. And that is the packaging, first of all. So yeah, score for that, okay? And then the inside of this is, that's what I'm wearing today. And I don't know if you probably see it there. There it is, I think. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna get close enough so you can really see. So you see those reflects of like white, blue, purple. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And it just, it sits on the skin forever. When the moment that I realized that this was my ride or die, I had gone out with my sister. We had been out for several hours and we went to some drive-thru somewhere because it was really late and we were hungry. And the girl's handing us our food and she's like, yeah, your highlighter is on and popping. I'm like, it is? So I look in the rearview mirror. I'm like, holy shit, it is. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, that's the one. So if I need one highlighter ever for the rest of my life, this would definitely be it. So moving on to eyes, I have 3 eye pencils that are my ride or die for both eyeliner and eyebrows. So I have, let me start with the eyebrows because I only have one pencil there. It's the Revlon Colorstay pencil, and that's what it looks like. You can get this anywhere, Ulta, CVS, Walgreens. Revlon Colorstay, and this is in the color brown. I've been using this pencil now for about 20 years. So I'll, draw and fill in the eyebrow, I'll powder it, and I'll go over it again so that it's nice and dark and it lasts. In the summer, when I tend to sweat more, I will powder one more time just to set it, and this sucker will last all day. For my actual eyeliner, I use 2 pencils. I have very, very watery eyes, and it doesn't matter whether I have allergies, I don't have allergies, I have a cold, I don't have a cold, doesn't matter. They just feel like running all the time. So I found 2 eyeliners only because they're both perfect, and one of them just has one negative thing about it, but I use them in conjunction. So the first one is the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner, and that's in Swerve, as you can see back here. A little black thing right here. This is their black. They have lots and lots of shades, like lots. I have the pink, the purple, but they have green, blues, and all kinds of stuff. It stays in place. It doesn't smudge, it doesn't budge, it doesn't run. And when I finally found out that, like, oh my god, this doesn't, it stays in place, I'm like, yes, there's my new eyeliner. I added the TooFaced Bulletproof 24-Hour Shadow Liner, and that's it right there. This is the one negative. It is a super fat tip. But again, because it says it's a shadow liner, it's gonna probably be super fat. This goes nowhere. It doesn't budge, it doesn't move, it doesn't, run, nothing. It is such a good eyeliner. It's crazy. Like, I wish they put this formula in a thinner pencil, first of all, but then I wish they put this formula in like an eyebrow pencil that I could use, because if this didn't budge, it would be like heaven and perfection. But those are my 3 eyeliner pencils. These are literally in my everyday makeup drawer. I use these every single day. So as far as eyeshadow primer, not only do I have watery eyes, I have oily eyelids as well. So my eyes are just all over the place for some reason. But the shadow primer that I use is a Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen what that looks like. The fact that I get no greasiness, no oiliness, nothing peeking through, throughout the entire day. Like, this doesn't break down. Is amazing. Not only that, but your eyeshadow looks, they look as vibrant as the moment you applied the shadows. So for shadows themselves, I think a lot of people have done this in their ride or die tag, and it's not necessarily cheating. It's just saying, hey, I put together something that I think is perfection. So I actually have two quote unquote Z palettes. I have an actual Z palette of shadows, and I have different shadows here. Let's see, there we go. So I have Mary Kay here at the bottom, the little rectangle ones. I have lots of Makeup Geek. I have some Ardency and some others in there. But as you can see, you've got transition colors, nice dark colors. I also have some shimmers in there. So for me, having that means that you have your looks down. You don't have to worry about, do I have to add another palette? Because you do, you have palettes that are all shimmers, all mattes, all bright. Having that Z palette with such a nice array of shadows is perfect for my everyday. And then the second one is a MAC shadow compact that I put together. So I'm just gonna bring this up close to the camera so you can see there. A lot of blues, love my blues, but I have a lot of MAC shadows in there. Half of this I think is MAC shadows. Then I have some Anastasia and some other stuff in there. But again, I kind of had to take that same route because there wasn't an like one palette that just I could say I'm gonna grab. That's the only palette I can use, and it has everything that I need. So I have 3 single shadows to add to that, only because they complete the looks for me. So these are when I do my purple smoky eye like I have today, and I actually have this on my eyelids now. This is the ColourPop shadow. Oh, there it is. It's purple glitter. It's so beautiful. And this one is in Dance Party. And then the second one that I have is when I do my blue smoky eyes, and this one is called Luckfully. There we go. Oh, isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So what I tend to do with those two is that I will use them on the center of the lid, whether it's just over kind of like my eyeball area, or I will use it across the whole lid, but I will use this on top of what it is. This is to finish the look that I put together. But these two shadows are always, always, always on deck when I'm doing my blue or I'm doing my purple smoky eye looks. So I have one shadow that I use for my inner corner, and I know you're like, one shadow for your inner corner? High maintenance much? But it's a very inexpensive eyeshadow. This is the Essence eyeshadow. This one is 03 Rosy Flamingo. Not much in the pan, right? Like you're like, yeah, it's an inner corner highlight. So there it is. And it is what I am wearing in my inner corners today. So this always stays in my everyday makeup drawer, whether I use eyeshadow that day or not, only because I always add it to the inner corner and my eyes just look wide awake. They just pop beautifully. So my last 2 products are lip products. The one thing that I cannot live without, and this is just an everyday product, is the Smith's Rosebud Salve. I use this every day for my lips because they get chapped. I use this before I go to bed every single night, and every single morning when I wake up, my lips are supple. Yeah, that word is fabulous. Supple, soft, especially in the winter when everything's chapping, cracking, and just looking really dull and nasty. The last product that I have is a lipstick. Well, I have to choose a lipstick that's every day, that can be worn to work, but then translate really nicely to nighttime. And that for me is the Milani lipstick in 42 Rose Femme. It's one of like their gold lipsticks. It's what I have on my lips now. This is a shade that transitions perfectly from office to nighttime. So I said, you gotta pick one lipstick. You're going with the Milani lipstick. But that does it for my ride or die tag. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below of videos you'd like to see in the future. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and make sure you click the little bell so that you can get notifications of whenever I put out new content. Thanks again for spending a few minutes of your day with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.